X-raying 101, same difference, because one half dozen of the other. There we go. Sorry about that. Besides, it's a better picture. For those of you that don't know, I'm kind of old. There's the old style X-ray goggles you used to be able to buy out of comics for like $1. I am having problems seeing participants. There we go, and seeing the Q&A area, and seeing the chat. Where is it? Can't see it, so I'm not going to worry about it. So, anyway, so what we're going to do, this is supposed to be X-Ray 101, but we're going to go into a little more detail than just plain old X-Ray 101. I'm going to show you a little more advanced stuff. So let's start with some verbiage that you're going to hear. So URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator, and it's basically the website address, to be quite honest. The reason why that's important when you're dealing with X-raying is because there's a lot of information that you can glean there. I don't know if you're aware, but if you go on, hey, I got the chat working, yay. If you go on LinkedIn a lot of times, or even Facebook or Twitter, a lot of times they use handles but not their names, or they'll use their first name but no last name. But if you look up the URL, the full name's right there. So looking at the URL can come in very handy. You can learn a lot of information that can come in quite handy. There's actually a website out there where you get to see your resume, but you don't get contact info or anything, or their name. But if you look up in the URL, about 80% of the time, their name and email is right there. So it's important. Source code. The source code is the information behind the website. And I'm going to show you an example of that real quick so you can understand what I'm talking about. And I'm going to show you why it's very important. This is my own website. I'm going to actually do view page source, and this is the source code behind it. The reason why it's important is sometimes you'll see like little envelopes that says email, and what they do is you push it, it'll open up a form for you to email, but you don't get to see the email. Well, if you do that with this website, you'll see my emails are right there, but they're in the source code, not in the actual. But you don't get to see it when you push the button, but you can see it behind the scenes. Now you're probably going, well, what does that have to do with X-ray? X-raying is a type of hacking. It's the process of which you find information from a website in a way other than it was meant to be. That's what hacking really is. When it gets down to it, you're trying to get information in from a source in a way other than the way it was meant to be. That's really what it is. So you're doing super, super low level hacking, very, very, very low level hacking that ain't going to get you into any trouble. But this is part of it. Despite what others try to teach you about X-raying, that it's just site colon, there's more to it than that. So site, domain, and host. These are all three Boolean operators that can be used to X-ray into a site. We're going to be predominantly dealing with site. We're not deal with home, domain, and host very much because host requires a little more advanced stuff, and domain isn't used as much as it used to. Um, API stands for Application Program Interface. You won't need to worry about that for this course, but I want you to know what it is. An API is, I like to call it a mini bridge program, because what it really does is allow you to get access to data in that the site's allowing you to get access to, but without having to use the site. You could actually use the little API and make a call through Excel or something to bring the data in. I just want you to know all those things because you are going to hear them a lot if you're out there listening and talking. I'm going to show you more about all this later. X-raying, we already kind of went through that. Now, remember I told you X-raying and I spoke about the URL. The URL is very important in X-raying, as is the results. And the reason why it's important, I'm going to show you why, is because of the information it allows you to gather. I have a system that I created. It's basically USCM. It's you can see what it stands for up there. URL and web page source code manipulation study, and it's got 4 parts. You can see it. Study, the peeling back, which you've heard before. ASA, which is addition by subtraction by addition, and addition by making a change. The difference in ASA and AMC is in ASA you're making a change at the very end of the URL to get something, and I'll show you how that works later. In AMC, you're making a change somewhere in the middle of the URL to have something happen. And like I said, I'm going to give you examples of all this. All this comes in handy for X-raying, or for what I consider to be X-raying. So words and phrases you're going to need to know to do a proper X-ray are going to be these profiles, peoples, all that stuff, and all these other things. And sometimes you need country and language codes to do a proper X-ray. And I'm going to explain all that to you. So here's a great example of one. So let's just start at this for a minute. This is a perfect example of how you X-ray. We're going to look at a site called Upworks, and we're going to do a site called an Upworks thing. As you can see, articles, blogs, no, none of this is people, which is what we really, really want is people. So we got to figure out what is it that's going to get us people. I have a habit of always putting a name in. I just put John. John's a very common name. And the first thing I get is a John. But what I notice here is in the URL is freelancers. So that means if this is correct and this is accurate, that means if I add the word space freelancers and I can get rid of the word John because at this point it shouldn't matter and it is freelance and push it, I should be getting pretty much all people. And guess what? I got all people. That's an example of what I mean. A lot of people teach X-raying as site colon and the domain, and that's it, you're done. That is not correct. There can be more to it, and you really, 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 really got to pay attention to what the URL says, because that's going to allow you to find all sorts of information. And in this case, we found that all these people are called freelancers. That's what Upworks calls its people on its site, freelancers. Some sites call them something else, and we're going to go through some of them just so we can make sure we can accurately understand how the whole process of X-raying works. Because, like I said, a lot of people think it's a simple domain and that's the end of it, and you're good to go, but it's not. So let's see. I got to move a few things here so I can see a little bit. Some sites are easy, some sites are not. So we're going to pick one right here. We're going to go ahead and move into Career Cloud. Now, Career Cloud is a great site. You can find a bunch of things there and people, but you got to know how. So that's the base domain for Career Cloud. The problem is you see www, see contribute, that's all great, but I'm not seeing people. So once again, you pick a name. I have a habit of picking John a lot. Like I said already, it's one of my plethora of middle names. And here's what I get. Okay, John plays career resource, download career resource. What I'm not getting is still an actual person. Okay, I mean, this is his cloud thing. It's not really a person. So we got to figure out how do I get to actually him? So let's back off and try a different thing. So since that's not going to work for us, and I already, by the way, know the answer to this question, let's try putting in Java instead. We'll put in a language and see what we can get. I'm still not getting anything here. It makes me feel good, but I am noticing a pattern where they like to put the words social dot there, news dot here. I'm noticing that as a pattern. Now, if you remember correctly, I went back here and I showed you all these different things right here: bio, resume, CV, user, users, people, people's profiles, profile. I showed you all of those words. And the reason why I showed you all those words is because those are a lot of the words you will see on a regular basis inside an X-ray. So what I'm going to do is utilize one, and I'm actually going to put, since I already know that they put things ahead of Career Cloud, not after. So you see news dot, social dot. I'm going to take a guess. Let's go right through the list of words. I'm going to try profile. Whoops, profile dot. Oops, didn't do that. Profile dot, and I'm going to get rid of Java for now because I just want to see if I'm getting people first. Ah, we didn't get anything. Now, why didn't we get anything? Let's see. Did I misspell something? Career Cloud, everything's right, profile. And what's really the hard part of this is that it changes so much. Um, not too long ago, profile actually worked. Now it's not. So now we got to figure out what's the other way to get to people on Career Cloud. And again, we're going to go back to John. Now, not all sites can be X-rayed to get what you want. We're just going to take a guess here. Okay, this is Career Cloud, Home, Career Resources, Podcast, Resumes. Okay, resume writing, best sites to search for resume. None of that's really going to help me much. Home, let's see, Career Cloud. None of this is really looking like it's going to help me a whole lot. I have a habit of always looking for things like podcast, career resources, because that usually can get you some pretty good information, especially if you can get the information on the person who did it, like this Jedi young person. Let's see. View links on contest, analysis. Nope, not seeing a person. I'm seeing all this, different names, but that's not going to get me what I'm really looking for. So Career Cloud has already made a change. Literally just 2 days ago, profile.careercloud.com worked. Now it's not working. So we're back to trying to figure out what is it that can help us find people on career. And it might be nothing. Well, that doesn't sure as heck doesn't even look like a website, even though it says Career Cloud. So let's see if we go here and if it helps us. Okay, same thing, recruiter questions, not really what I'm interested in. Career resources, more same stuff. Oh, okay, job seeker, podcast articles, jobs, college jobs, testimonials, job stories, job seeker. Let's see what that does for us. Okay, so Career Cloud's made a change and it's just not going to work. And that's okay, it happens. Every time you do a different site, you got to remember things will change one to the next. Like here's Kaggle. Kaggle's made a change, but I know what the change is, thankfully. So we're going to try this one now. John. All right, like I said, I love to pick on John just because it's kind of simple, to be honest with you. And okay, right here, I see it. John Davis as a contributor. I see some other people down here. I see this Grandmaster Kaggle, whatever his name is. So let's go into his just to do it. And we got Kaggle, and there he is. And so it just looks like for him anyway, it's just a simple John. Now, here's where we get to have some fun, though. We know he's a customer data scientist. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this part of the word. We also know that followers is right here and tends to be something that is probably, although I can't say that for a fact, in a lot of the profiles. Yes, followers is in a lot of them. So we're going to make a little change here. We're going to get really sneaky. What we're going to do is use probably arguably the most powerful operator there is. And that's the around function, the around operator. It's like it was followers. And we're going to see what happens here. May not work. Look at that. Now we got nothing but people who have something to do with data science. Now, how did we do that? Here's the deal. We noticed on this person's website that they had a title right here. We noticed that followers and following are on both of these profiles. That's called an anchor. That means we can use that anchor as a way of finding more information. Now, I went with the wildcard, which means I don't care, just as long as it's somewhere on the page. Normally, I don't do that. Normally, I put 10, 12, whatever. But given where it's at, it's a little tough to do that, if you understand what I'm saying, because you just don't know how much they put up here. So we have joined there. Let's see. So here's an even better word. Let's go ahead and try this one. See what happens if we use the word joined. And then let's go with 10 and see what we get. There's another anchor. We get more people. Now, what I did now is I noticed the word joined is in every profile. So there's my anchor. And then the title is up there. That's within 10. 1, 2, 3. There you go, 10. And that's how you properly X-ray a site. It's all about being able to, one, find the information you need. And then two, and I don't know why all of a sudden now I'm not seeing the chat. Went away on me. There we go. And two, then finding the anchor word. Now I'm going to pick on LinkedIn for my next one to really hammer this home, how important it is for the anchor word. But what I just did is say, find the word data scientist around 10 from joined. That's going to be, because we've already seen it, a title. So now I know. I can add in a location if I want to, because guess what? The location is right there. So let's see what would happen if we added that. And I know you don't need to in Google, but I always have a habit of doing it. It's just a habit, because this way I don't have to redo my searches when I go to another engine. Now I've got only people that are in Texas that fit the bill. All because I'm using their own site against them, basically. I'm using that anchor because it appears in all of them. And that's the idea. That's the real power of X-raying. Finding the right combination of words and then finding the anchor word. So we're going to move on. I'm going to show a lot more examples because, well, I just think this is probably the most important part, and it's really important that people understand how to get there. Let's use, let me get rid of that. Let's use HackerRank. HackerRank's a cool little site. And so let's go ahead and do that. HackerRank. That's the base for HackerRank. Now we're going to go and we got 240,000 people. Problem is we need to find a real person. Like I said, I love using John because it's common and there's usually somebody named John. All right, so we got Red John, blah, 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 blah. Okay, down here we got challenges. Keep going. John Gold list. Here we got a real person. I already know I was there a day ago. Notice the word profile. All righty then, boys and girls. We now know that if I add profile, that's going to get me real people. So let's just start with just profile. Wow, 71,000. Okay, let's add in Java. I like Java. I like Java. Everybody likes Java. Heck, I got my coffee right over here. I'm still drinking. Now look what we got. All those people that have Java in the profile. Let's open one, see if we can get even more now using a little around function. Wow, we could use badges. That seems to be everywhere, and it has the word Java. Now you're probably going, well, how do I contact me? Well, here's his GitHub, here's his LinkedIn, here's his webpage. That's how you do it. Looks like badges is a good place. You also got work experience. You go strictly by a title, senior Java consultant. I mean, so there's a lot of ways to do it. I'm not sure I even want to use the around function because this is just too easy. I mean, there we go. Simple, easy peasy. That's how you do it. You always start with the base domain, find one person and look at the URL and determine if there's more in the URL you could be adding. That will get you what you want. In this case, we know profile. And there you go. HackerRank has been solved. I love solving different profiles. For those of you that have ever been to Bytes, it's the same exact combination. It's profile. Now, not everybody is, though. And that's the interesting part. So let's try a site that where it's not profile. So this is AI Crowd. It's about AI, artificial intelligence. Now we got to find a person or something. So we're going to open up with the word John. There's challenges. There's this. Who wants to be participants? Oh, that's interesting. What is that? Participants to me means people. And what do you know? A participant. And it says participant. So what do you think we should have there? To get real people, we put in participants. And badam, there are all real live people. Now we just got to decide. This is all AI, so if you're looking for AI, this is where you're going to go anyway. Excuse me. So there you go. That's why X-raying is not as simple as people think. People really believe it's just, hey, just go ahead and put the domain in. It's not. That's your starting point, and then you got to do your loner SVU little map with the strings to figure out what comes next. And then once you do that, if you need to, in this case with N76, we probably don't, since it's all AI, who cares? Then you got to think about the around function. And now we are going to tear apart LinkedIn because I really enjoy tearing apart LinkedIn. So we'll do that. We're going to go ahead and cheat a little bit because I have some of these already built. Where is my LinkedIn? Okay, so in this case, I am X-raying in LinkedIn. I want Amazon developer around 10 to present. Now, why present? The reason why I'm using present, and I don't know if I'm signed into LinkedIn or not. I probably ought to sign in to make it easier on everybody. Let me sign in. Don't stay signed in LinkedIn. Do what you got to do and get out because LinkedIn can monitor everything you do if you're signed in. So why present? Well, you know why present? Because it's right here, and every profile that where they are currently working will have the word present. So why not use it? That means this person is currently at Amazon a principal engineer, which we all know developer principal engineer. Google does do with the synonym thing. And there you go. That plain out and simple. And that's X-Ray. And that's LinkedIn. Now, something that I do want to show you though is if I put the www in front, which is not normal for an X-Ray, that's not the way it works, your results get limited to only people in the United States. So if you don't want to write in if you don't care where, you just anywhere in the US, just put the www in front of it. If you want a specific state, then don't worry about the www and just put a specific state. It really doesn't matter. I usually am not that worried about it because I found while the www does work, I have found that there are some people in the United States that it doesn't work for. So you do miss some people. So this is it. Now from here, I can change this, I can change that, I can do whatever I want. I can do more than that though. So let's look at him. What else could I look for? Oh, education. What if I want to find people that went to UCLA? So let's go ahead and change a few things. We're going to go ahead and change that to education. And then we're going to change all this because I really don't not interested in this anymore. We're doing UCLA now. Ordinarily, I would do UCLA or spell out University of whatever UCLA UCLA stands for, University of Southern California. No, that's USC. Whatever it stands for. Uh, now go and look at this. Everybody's at UCLA now. Why? Because the anchor. The anchor is a word that appears in every single solitary profile. If it appears in every profile, it can be an anchor. That, mind you, that's in every profile that where they list that information. So if you got somebody that doesn't list their education, obviously they're not going to pop up. You can go to everything. You can even look at the interests. And if you look in the interest, sometimes it says groups and stuff like that. You can even do it that way for groups if you want to. Almost anything. Now, another search when it comes to LinkedIn that I've used quite often is this one, where it's it's still Amazon Duo, but instead of using it based on present, I'm using it based on at. And the reason I do that is because sometimes, and I usually run both, sometimes if you look down here, you notice no location. Up here, you notice their location. That's why I do it. And sometimes both will have locations. The one down in experience is where the company's located, but the one up top is where they're located. And so that's why I tend to run both. Why do we put the number 10 in the URL? Why do you mean why did we do it in the search Jessica? I'm sorry, Jessica, right? Yes. Okay. Sorry, I'm having problems reading today. So I'll go through the string again. I am saying look in site linkedin.com/in. I'm saying look for the word Amazon and developer around 10 words, front or back of the word at. The word at is right here. So I'm saying look 10 words up and 10 words back for those particular words. This guarantees I get people currently working at Amazon, not ever worked. If you do a search, you just put Amazon and Java, you're going to get people that might have worked at Amazon 10 years. Was Amazon around 10 years ago? Yeah, 10 years ago. By doing it this way, you're guaranteeing they're there right now. And that's why you do it. Everybody always complains saying, oh, I gotta have LinkedIn Recruiter because it's got all this nice search. I can look at current company, past company, blah, 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 blah. Well, I can do that too. The only difference is I'm not paying $12,000 for a LinkedIn Recruiter license. I don't even go in LinkedIn Recruiter unless I'm scraping people from a folder that somebody else in the company I work for put in there. And then I have to find contact info for them. But other than that, I don't go into LinkedIn Recruiter. I don't search in it. Why? You're limited to 1,000 results. Mathematically, it's impossible for you to find everybody. There are more than 1,000 job developers in LinkedIn. You will never see them all. It's impossible. Okay, Amazon around 10 connections present. Is this okay? I'm not sure why you would want connections. Um, okay, so let me understand why you would want connections. Because of that. What? Why? I don't understand. I mean, if you use that, what? I mean, if you use that, you're going to get all the information that you get using connections. And present is down here, so that doesn't make any sense either. I would use at or present, but not connections. Because not everybody has connections. If there are none, then there's nothing there. That's not a guaranteed connection's not going to. If they're new, you won't see connections. Because connections within. Okay, let me rephrase what I'm saying here. Yes, it'll work, but I don't understand why you would do it. Because you got to remember, you're limited to. At is a smaller word and an easier word. Connections is longer and bigger, and not everybody has connections. I found somebody yesterday had none. Believe it or not. Yes, it would work, but why? I guess that's what I'm going to. I tend to look for words that I feel a lot more comfortable with. And at I like because it's 10 above and 10 below. Connections, it's like there's not much below, I guess. Yes, some of the and that's my point. So why use connections when it isn't always going to be there? At will always be there. Present will always be. So I would do the same thing you just did, but I would do connections. I would do at or present if you want to. Matter of fact, let's do it. But the way you did it, we need to be careful with because you're going to nest something to make this work because you got two different things in here. So let's see if I did my math right. If I did my Boolean string right, I probably screwed up somewhere, I'm sure. Oh, I didn't. Hey, yay me. That would be the right one. You're saying look for Amazon and developer around 10 of at or present. And then Java, of course. That would be the way to do that one, if that makes sense. And you're right, that this way you're covered either way. Usually the only time I ever use the at is really for location. If I'm on a specific location and I just want to, and I don't want to just put it in New York and then find I'm getting people that aren't living in New York, but they went to college in New York. I want them to be in New York now. That's the only time I use that, really. Yes, please help. I assume you want me to put the string in chat is what you're saying, so I will do that for you. So, who was that anyway? Okay. All right. Now, so that's LinkedIn. We have just solved LinkedIn. You can now see every single solitary person that's in LinkedIn. You can't do that otherwise. Now I'm going to show you something else because I think this is one of the most important things out there. And I'm getting this string again. This is going to be a biggie for you. Despite what Google wants to make you think, Google is not always the best place to use to X-ray. I'm going to do that X-ray around 10 and all that, and I'm going to compare Google and Bing. Bing gets me 940,000. Google gets me 42,000. Now I could be wrong. I have been told I have been wrong many times in my life, but last I checked, 943,000 is a lot more than 42,000, especially when the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things are junk. Always do your searches in this tool as an example. So you got Bing and Google, and you can see which one's better. Sometimes Bing is actually the better place to search in. Sometimes it's Google. This site, I will give you the URL for it, even though it can be found on my SSAR page. I will give it to you anyway. I do this a lot. I probably use this site 30 times a day because I want to know. I really want to see which one gives me better results. I find that if I know what I want, if my string's right exactly what I want, Bing does a better job. If I find that I'm not 100% sure, Google tends to do a better job. All right, so let's keep going down the highway because we got a whole bunch to do because we're going to solve the next biggest problem that stands out in the world of recruiting and sourcing and research and all the other good, happy words we can use. So we're going to play a game. This is an important game. Okay, I don't know about not getting my chat, but which number is bigger, 3.5 billion or 640 million? The answer is billion, at least in the math I'm aware of. Maybe in new math, it's not. That's the difference between how many people Facebook has and how many people LinkedIn has. LinkedIn does not have everybody. There are a boatload of people on Facebook that LinkedIn does not have. Boatload, obviously. But how do you search Facebook? You could search in Facebook, but I find it to be not as nice. But let's do this search. Now, look at what I'm doing here, people. And I'm being very specific. Cite Facebook.com, Seattle and engineer and Amazon around 10 to present. Again, Facebook uses to present. If they are currently working, they will say to present. Now I'm using engineer, and that's why I don't get a lot of results. Let's use the word developer. 9 more results. Did I spell developer right? And I'm also specifying Seattle, so that's another thing that might be hurting my thing, my results. 37. So there are a lot of people in Facebook, and we've just found only a handful of them so far. So what we're going to do next, and this is where the problem comes in. In Facebook, you're not going to see a lot of languages. They're not going to say Java unless they're titled Java developer. But we all know that Amazon's primary language is Java, and there are results. So when you're searching in Facebook, it's going to be hard to search for a language like C++ or C#. But if you use some common sense, if you need a Java developer, hit up Amazon, Google. If you need a C# developer, you probably ought to hit up Microsoft as your example. I always use to present. I have not seen many that are only present. If I look, I just haven't. But let's go ahead and see what happens if we just do present. Okay, we get more results. But here's where we're coming to the problem. That's Blue Origin. That's not Amazon. And there's no present there at all. It's a date. That's the problem. The word present doesn't always give you exactly what you want. I understand this, but it doesn't always. So what we can do if we want to be sneaky and make sure we cover all our permutations is do what we just did a second ago and nest. And let's go ahead, or dips to present and looks like a plan to me. And boom, there we go. Then to cover both permutations of present and to present, that would be the way we'd want to do it. There you go. Yes, you could use data scientist around 10, present or to, except you have to nest the or statement. Meaning basically have a search within a search. Now, keep in mind, Google makes it to where you don't have to say and, you don't have to do brackets and all that. I get that, but I can tell you for a fact the thing you need to understand is there are hundreds of servers that you're touching in Google. 50 of those servers are old school Boolean that are designed for educational institutions. When the main servers are busy, you get swapped to an education one. They are using old school Boolean, which means if you don't have those brackets, it ain't working. Not to mention the fact most other search engines need the brackets. And the brackets don't change your search results in Google. So why not? I guess what I'm trying to say is use old school Boolean with the brackets and ands and all that as much as you can if you're going to save your searches. You mean your search strings, because it doesn't hurt your search in Google, but most importantly, it allows you to cut and paste it everywhere else. And that's why I still do it, even though I didn't put the ands, should have. But when it comes to brackets and or statements, I tend to keep doing it because if you don't and you try to copy the same thing into Bing, you might have a problem. Matter of fact, you will have a problem. If you try to put it into Yahoo, you'll have a problem. If you try to put it in Baidu, you'll have a huge problem. And I can go on and on and on and on because Lord knows there's hundreds of search engines. So I tend to keep it simple and old school Boolean as much as possible. So this way I can just cut and paste because Google doesn't um, Google doesn't make you pay for putting the old stuff in. So I hope everybody got that. But this is Facebook. Done. Period. Over. Fine. We just solved Facebook. Now, Dean, that's me, hates paying for anything. So let's add one more thing here. Let's add in the word developer, populate all, and now we're going to x-ray Zoom Info. Zoom Info is a site you normally have to pay for. Why? I don't know, because all they're going to do is give you a work email. I can figure out a work email by myself pretty easily. So let's find out. We got some Java developers. Yay, Java developers. What I want. Look at all these Java developers sitting here waiting for me to say, come work for me or come work with me. We need an email address for this young Jedi. And since we know that all they do is work emails on here anyway, let's find out what the work format is for oracle.com. Oh, look at that. It's first name dot last name. Well, guess what, guys? We now know what this person's email is. It is georges.saab at oracle.com. There you go. Plain, simple, and easy. That's where X-Rain can get you the advantage of things that you of searching places that normally you might have to pay for, but you got to be able to do it the right way. We're going to keep going. But all people is another search. It's basically just a search site, and that's really all it is, to find people. And here we go. Nicholas Saft. I was just in this one. He's a Java developer at Fleet One. Well, I can figure out what the email for Fleet One is, and here's the domain. So that makes it really easy for me. Boom, boom. So now all people just became a sourcing tool. Why? Because I know how to X-ray in and find the people I want to find. And that's what the whole thing is about. If you know how to X-ray, you can find anything, anywhere, including people who have certificates. All these people have certificates in Java. Why? Because I did an image search for certifications. And you know, certification. Every one of them have a certification image in LinkedIn. Now, there are a lot of people that don't put that in LinkedIn, but if they do, we got them. One of my favorites that I'm going to show you, and this is where I get to freak people out a little bit because people are like, really? Never would have thought of that. Okay, fine. Is this one. All these people have email addresses, but they're using the email icon for it, not saying email. but I still get them because I created a search that allowed me to use the two major email icons for emails. And if that wasn't bad enough, same thing goes for phones. These are the icons you'll see for phone numbers. And look at all those people that decide to be nice enough to give me their phone number, all by X-raying into LinkedIn. Now, why would you care? Well, I don't know about you, but LinkedIn emails, according to LinkedIn, if you get an 18% reply rate, you're doing great. If I tell my boss I've got an 80% reply rate, the words I'm probably going to hear next is "you fired," because 18% sucks. Let me remind you, 18% reply. That doesn't even mean they're interested. They're just replying. Okay, but if you can get their personal email and/or phone number, that will up your reply rate, even if you are bad at writing an email, by at least 2 times. So you're already close to 40%. If you're good at writing email, you can get it up to 70. If you're really good at writing email, you can get it up to 85+% reply rate. So, but you need to have this information, and this is the way to do it. This is the simple way to do it. Notice I'm not in LinkedIn. I just don't see a reason to. I'm X-raying in and getting everything I want. I even have it set up to where I can get. Well, that's a custom search engine. I don't want to use that one. So, because it's custom search engine. Where is the one that? Oh, here we go. Right down. I even have it set up to find people who are ready, who are looking for a new job. How? Well, LinkedIn made it pretty clear how they do it, so why not just use it against them? They use certain words, ready to work, open to work, and all that, and they use the oh god, I can never remember this word. Tag. It's a tag. How did I get? How do you get the exact? I looked it up on. I did a search in Google for the icons, and then looked at the ones that were most popular. Same thing with the tags. I just looked up in LinkedIn. What I did with LinkedIn to find these tags, truthfully, is I went into LinkedIn Recruiter and popped in the little checkbox. I don't know if it's still there, where you can see people ready to work. And then I went and looked at the source code and found out that all they're doing is looking for this tag somewhere on the profile. So I went ahead and did the same thing. And these people are all open to new jobs. Why? Open to work immediately. He is immediately open to work. Someone should jump on him. Not just open to work, but immediately open to work. I always think that's hilarious. See? And that's how you find people that are looking. Notice, not in LinkedIn. Everything I'm doing is not in LinkedIn, all because I know how to X-ray, and because I hate you saying this, and because I've done enough due diligence, and I think outside the box and like a candidate, and say, if I'm open to a new job, what would I do? Well, in LinkedIn, I know they're saying open to work. If it's not LinkedIn, I might just put some like looking for work or this or that. So that's all you have to do. You just got to be smarter than you got to think. So let's do this one. This is American Society of Engineers. Look what I did: members and a star. Now, why did I do members? Well, it's obvious. Look right there. Why did star? Because there are other things that come after it for some members, and I just didn't want to deal with it. I just said star, so whatever, and then I put in the word Java developer. Now these people full stack Java right there. Now, this particular person did not, this particular string didn't get a lot of results. Now, all of a sudden, I get more because I didn't put the word Java. I mean, developer. But how did I figure out? Simple. Here's a person, Jimmy Crate. Here's the UR here's the website, and then there's the next part of the website, members. So they're calling everybody members. So there you go. That's how you X-ray. You start with the base search, the base domain, and then look at your results until you see what results are getting you what you really want. And let's do one more. Oh, this one's really, really cool. We're going to do another one outside of this. So I'm going to do this search. I'm going into free code camp. Now, the first thing I'm going to notice is I want to find people, and I've told you I love using John or Mike or Michael or common names. And the first thing I notice is news author. Interesting. Let's open it up. Oh, look at that. Nice enough. Oh, wow. That's Saitama from One Punch Man. Hacker, human. Okay, well, we can debate that. Website, Twitter. Notice no LinkedIn. That's interesting. Cool. This guy, how we built our minimum viable product MVP, how it has to start up, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So the first thing I notice is news and author. Well, then, news and author, let's grab that, come back here, and let's add that to our list. Now let's get rid of John because we no longer need John and see what we got. 978 people. Let's pick one. Eeny, meeny, miny. Let's go with Jennifer Bland. Jennifer Bland, I am a senior software engineer, Google developer, expert, entrepreneur, mountain climber, Neil Diamond. Oh, I like Neil Diamond. NBA grad, world traveler. Well, goody, goody gun jobs. Website, Twitter. I know how to get a hold of her, and I know she lives in Athens, Georgia. So there you go. Again, this is how you tear apart any website. You find the right combinations of things. Now, in an attempt to really make life really interesting for everybody, we're going to play a game. Do I want to do that? We're going to just do, yeah, we'll do that. Everybody uses tiny URLs, whether it's tiny, bit.ly, Google, Owler, Super, whoever, Partridge in a Pear Tree, who knows? Well, guess what, guys? You can X-ray those too. And in my case, I X-rayed for software engineer, software developer, he, she, and I minused jobs and applies because there's a lot of that. And look at what I'm getting. Matthew Garrett calls on, and I didn't even use the word resume. Now, what would happen if we add in the word resume? Just to add it. Tiny URLs, tiny URLs. Nope, no resumes. But it didn't matter because we got what we wanted back here. All these people are software engineers or software developers. Every last one of them. All using tiny URLs to try to get what they want. Now we're gonna do probably the best X-ray, one of the best X-rays I've ever made. I was so happy about this X-ray. What I'm doing here is saying, I don't care. Any.org. I could care less if it's called blue crack, if it's called hack, if it's called blue, if it's called crack, if it's called Mayo Mayo, Mia Mia. I don't care. Just look for a .org, but look for one that says resume after the domain, and then look for hacker. I like hackers. And right there, I get, if I remember correctly, there's all total about 100 resumes in this list right here. 100 resumes of people who are hackers, or at least have something to do with hacker. And notice I put in the word resumes. Could have tried, if I take away resumes and just do resume, I get 396. If I do CV, I'll get more. If I do profile, I'll get more. I do that again. But here's the other thing. Remember, not all sites are going to be quite that simple. Now look at what I get. Now, what did I do? I said, look in something.org for any word and then the word resume. And look what I got. Why? Because some URLs, there's going to be something between the domain and the word resume. This is called thinking outside the box. This is what I meant about the whole USMC philosophy, the whole looking at the URLs, looking at this and looking at it and thinking and doing different things, removing things, adding things. That's what I'm talking about. This is it. This is X-raying at its, this is going to come across so bad. I'm so sorry. This is X-raying at its finest. When you can sit here and look at this stuff and realize there are so many ways you can do things. If I wanted to be sneaky, I could put resume or CV or curriculum vitae or profile or this or this or this. Or this. But then I get so many results. I mean, I already got 5,000 results almost. I think I've got enough. I don't need to go through all the others. I mean, really? All right. Let's do another. This is one of my favorites. Okay, schedule.com is a place where people schedule a lot of conferences and stuff. I'm saying entitled directory attendees. Oh, wow. Oh, well, let's look here. Oh, wow. That's a developer conference. I already know this site by heart, by the way. And it's a Red Hat developer conference. How cool is that? And look at all the people who joined. Now, some of them don't have a lot of information. That's another class. I am not going to. I'll need another whole hour to explain to you how you can get contact information or a way to know all you need to know about everybody here, no matter how little information there is. I don't have time in this one for that. That's another whole one. But this person here, he's not supposed to give us his LinkedIn profile. Now you're going, well, if he's on LinkedIn, what do I need to look here for? Just because he's on LinkedIn doesn't mean you'll ever see them. Again, when you search in LinkedIn, you only see 1,000 people, and those people are brought back in the order of the number of times the buzzword you search for appears in their profile, not how good they really are. 90+% of the recruiters don't go beyond page 10. So just because he says he's got a LinkedIn profile doesn't mean you'd ever see him. It just means he has a LinkedIn profile. So there you go. And that's from schedule.com. And I didn't even specify what kind of directory. I mean, what kind of conference? Just a conference. Five hundred, there's 557,000 conferences. Let's pick one. Let's pick Java, just for the heck of it. But dang, now we got 469 Java conferences with attendees lists. Let's say each attendee list has, I don't know, 30 people. 30 times 469. You guys do the math. It's about 14,000 people. Or 1,400 people. Yeah, 1,000. I was right the first time. So I'm not sure what else to do. I mean, plus we're almost out of time. That is basically X-raying in a nutshell. You start with your base domain, you look for a real live person, and then you go ahead and look at the rest of the URL to see what you need to add to ensure you're only getting real people. Sometimes you just go on the site and you just look for things like community, blog, author, and stuff like that, and that's how you get to it. But once you get to it, you now have your real X-ray string, which will usually be the site colon, domain, and anything after slash profile, slash resume, slash whatever. And then you put in your buzzwords. And if you're still not getting what you want, look for anchors to try to be more specific, like with LinkedIn. LinkedIn's the best place to use anchors because that's how you can find the things you really want. They're part of this group. They went to this college. They worked at this company or are working. So let's see. Any questions? Okay, mind blown. Dean, can we do a more person search on LinkedIn? Siteconference.com is another site. Yes, I'm aware of that one. Are we able to add year to a conference? Same as schedule. I am aware of conf engine. It's on my SSAR page. I just haven't had time to x-ray it. I've been busy creating, well, to be honest with you, creating that. Let's see. Okay, got it. I already answered that. Mind blown. Thank you. Dean, can we do a more page person search? Can you be more specific? I'm not sure I understand what you mean by that. Are you trying to say to that little thing on the right side where it says more people like this person type of deal? And if so, yeah, as long as it's an anchor that appears in all the profiles, the problem you're going to have is it doesn't appear in all profiles. It works. Are you asking me if it works on GitLab, or are you telling me it works on GitLab? No, it works on GitLab. So you're telling me it works on GitLab. Okay, that doesn't surprise me. I know it works on GitHub, and I know it works on Stack Overflow, and I know it works on most developer sites. So why it wouldn't work on? If you guys don't know, I have a blog on recruiting blogs about lesser known sites where I X-ray into all sorts of lesser known sites. If I'm not mistaken, I did GitLab once already. So the string on how to do it is in there somewhere. I do a new one every week unless I decide to do something different. I may have missed this, but you'll be sharing that amazing tool with the group. What amazing tool? Are we talking about the tool I'm created? And if so, the answer is no, I will not be sharing it with the group because that's my own private tool and I can't share it with the group. I'm sorry. I might be able to share a reduced version of it if people would like, but I can't share that exact version. But there is another version of it which is pretty good, which I can share with the group. Let me find it and show you just so you know what I'm talking about. I call it the level 1 version of the tool, and this is it. So I show you that version of it, which still has a lot of the same stuff. So that I can share with the group, but I can't share this version of it. This version is private, just for me, and it takes me a lot of time to work to do hours and hours of programming. And I'm a recruiter, so I'm not a programmer. I just can program. Okay, if there are no more questions, I think we're good to go.
I mean, that was amazing. Thanks, Dean. We always appreciate you. Two things I want to tell everybody is that we will have Dean and Steve back next week for their talking session, fun session, laugh session that they always do. And then a week after that, we'll be doing our first bingo night, which you want to stick around for because there will be prizes at the end. You'll get to meet the team and everything like that. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have. That's all Dean has, and we'll give everybody about like 10 minutes back on their day. Todd.
Oh, wait a minute. There's a question. Is Link working on Google? No, it's not. Not right now, anyway. But keep in mind, what doesn't work on Google one day might work the next day, and vice versa. Google loves to change things around. For a while, the wildcard wasn't working. Now it's working. The tilde wasn't working. Now it's working. The number range wasn't working. Then it was working. Then it wasn't working. Then it was working. Now it's Now it's working again. I just was doing it yesterday. I had to remember if it worked. So Google loves to change things on us. I don't know why. Well, actually, I do know why, but yeah. Headline and other secret operators are not working on LinkedIn. That is not necessarily true. You just need to have the right operators. The headline is not working on LinkedIn, but you don't need it because everything in the headline is going to be around the at. So you can use the at to get the headline. But some of the other operators are still working. But that's all, folks. Talk to you all later. Bye.
Thanks, Dean. Bye, everyone.